The orrery is simply a friction fit onto the main clock. The center column slides down into a support clock. So to remove, all one does is we align Saturn and Jupiter towards the front of the clock, grip the two diagonal dial supports and gently lift the whole orrery while we rotate backwards and forwards. And then it is lifted out complete. To remove the tellurion, all one has to do is to orientate it so that there's access in the top section. You can move the demo drive so there's space between the drive to the moon dial. Get your finger in to release the push button on the latch lever, move it anti-clockwise, and then gently remove the tellurion. To remove the sun-moon dial assembly, first thing to do is to put the strike select onto grand sonnery. Then the tellurion dial has to be removed. This, when it has the final enamel dial, will have a latch fitted behind the dial here to remove the dial complete with the dial plate. So at the moment we have to unscrew the dial plate. Then the latching detent is pulled out and the lever is rotated anti-clockwise, and the whole assembly is moved forward and lifted off the clock. To remove the calendar is held in place with the thumb screw, best released by putting your forefinger over the main pillar and your thumb on the other side. It's unscrewed. All that one has to take care of otherwise is the diagonal arbor has to be lifted off the pivot on the diagonal arbor, so it's lifted off and the calendar is free. This is the way we remove the planisphere. There are two levers, locking levers, symmetrically placed behind. One puts my fingers in behind each side and simply pushes them inwards. So they, like this, you move them inwards, and then the planisphere is removed like that. So there you can see the two locking levers. When they vertical, it's unlocked, and removal, of course, they put in place, and then it's locked. This video covers the use of the pendulum clamp. This is used when we do work on the balance springs or prepare to remove the balances from the clock. First of all, the bronze balls are removed from the top of the pendulum. Keep turning until you feel it drop off the end of the thread, like that, and then the ball is simply removed. And the same process on the second side. Once the balls are removed, the clamp is placed on the ends of the pendulum rods, and further light work can be done just like that, or if necessary, the balls can be used to lock the clamp in place. And removal, of course, is in the reverse. This is the procedure that we use to remove the balance springs. First of all, once the pendulum is clamped, the springs are unhooked at each end. Or possibly better it would be to undo the little clamp on the end of the parallel bands, which is the bottom thumb screw, simply released until the block drops out. The same applies to the upper. The clamp is released and the spring is loose. I would say it's easier to do it like that. So what happens is the load is removed from the spring, release the small nail knob at the top and slide it out. And that's the spring and the parallel bands removed. Same process for the two connecting bands is release the thumb screw and the band drops out. And the same applies to the opposite side band. And a pair of tweezers, of course, which facilitate things. And that is all the springs removed. The isochonism springs are permanently locked in place, but once the locking wedge is removed, this is still to be made, they will come out easily. And so that is all the parallel bands and the balance springs removed. To remove the escape wheels, one has to make sure that there is no power on the train, in other words the clock is completely wound down. Simply lift the upper pallets, tilt the escape wheel slightly backwards and lift out. The next stage in removing the balances is to remove the cross drive to the fly fan. This is simply two cocks, and it's a single screw for each cock. So screw is removed. The other screw is removed. And the cocks are spun around downwards. And the arbor is out. In fact, it's not actually necessary, as I remember, to remove this time train side cock at all. The next component to remove is the feed pull from the remontoire carriage to the rod bone, and that should be simple enough. All one does is lifts it off the screw has to be slackened off at the remontoire carriage pivot. And it's clipped loose and slid out. Side, so that's the feed pull. Then we need to remove the 4 bearing caps, or the balance arbor clamps. They are all numbered for proper identification, and that's the 4 bearing caps removed. Then we have the drive from the time train through the strike mechanism. Now this is passes between the main balance frame and the bottom diagonal support. So what happens is there's a center screw that is just slackened off, and the outer screw is removed completely, and the frame is simply slow down. So we have 1/2 the time train, sorry, the time transfer frame, and the other side is removed in the same process, except that we have to remove this wheel to get access due to the screw being covered, and the same process applies to this side. And it's gently removed out the side of that. The next stage is to remove the lower balls. It's best to have one's hand underneath, because when the thread disengages, it is rather easily drops. And the other ball is removed. This greatly reduces the weight of the whole assembly and makes moving it much simpler. Now, of course, the balances are totally free and unrestrained, and this again is where the balance clamp helps, as it keeps stability until all the major masses are removed. So you can see there we have, in essence, the bare balances. Now the clamp is removed, and here we have to be careful that the balances don't spin out of control. So you'll see it has a bias outwards. That's everything in order. And then the whole balance can be carefully removed vertically. At the same time, we have to take care that we don't bump our bead plates. And the other thing is that we have pallets down in front of the clock between mechanisms, so there's a here we have a transfer wheel in its frame, which is held captive behind the tellurion dial. This simply held on by 2 spigots, so that is easily removed. And then the balance can be removed. That is simply by holding both sides and lifting it upwards. And outwards. And then we have one complete balance assembly removed. And the other balance is done the same way. Perhaps better to stand at the back of the clock like I am now. This one has better control. And that is the second balance completely removed. That completes the removal of the balances. We'll now remove the rear balance support and the bead plate. It just makes the next sections less cumbersome. The screw at the bottom end, you can see it's got play in it already. That is where the time transfer brackets or frames fitted. So that is already loose. So it's a simple matter of another screw. And the bead plate is off. I have a preference of these instances to replace screws where they're removed. It helps for later reassembly. And of course the rear balance support is simple. I'll need a big screwdriver for that.